Well, hello and welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derrick Montia. Of course, I'm occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX, and I am not taking any responsibility at all for being the mayor of Chase Field at this time. Joining me, of course, is my vice mayor of PHNX and your thunderstick, the one and only Jesse Friedman.
Derrick, it's been an eventful day, which I think we expected coming in. I mean, it's the first day of full squad workouts, but we wound up talking with Derrick Hall and Kendrick about stadium and TV situations. There were some interesting things to talk about there. So yeah, just a crazy day at Salt River Fields all the way around.
Was not expecting the news that we got today. We knew when we were going to get to talk to Kendrick and Derrick Hall, we would get an update about Chase Field and about the TV deal, but I don't think we were prepared to hear what we heard today. I know it's going to upset some fans, and I know hopefully we can shed some light on it, at least how we feel about it. We don't really feel at the end of the day like this is as dramatic as maybe the situation might sound like it's getting to. But before we get there, I want to make you guys happy because of course we're going to upset you. So before we get to that, I was going to do like just puppies playing, with little kittens or something, but I do have something better. And that's Corbin Carroll talking about collecting baseball cards. Damon, can you show that clip?
Fan yesterday at FanFest gave me a Gabby Moreno out of 25, so I autoed too, so that was sweet. I put that right in my little display.
And then funny, like when you put that out there, that people will start probably bringing you cards all the time now, right?
Yeah, it's cool. It's another cool thing to be able to connect with some of the fans on. Hopefully makes the interactions a little more personable. And I like always hearing what other guys and our fans are collecting.
Do you have a favorite like in the book or?
Yeah. Yeah, but secret.
Have you opened up any Topps 2024s yet?
Yeah, actually, I did a little kids camp yesterday, and we gave out 370 boxes. So that was awesome. The little kids. I mean, I don't even know if half of them knew what they were getting, but when it was announced, like, you're getting trading cards, they went nuts. So that was really fun. And then, opened them on the field out there, and the little kid that I was with, the second card he opened up happened to be mine, and signed that for him, signed a couple for the other kids who pulled a couple of mine, and it's just fun to be able to share it with those kids.
I know you mentioned Longo helped get you into that, but was that you as a kid? Like, did you collect those growing up or not?
I mean, I'd get when I go to Mariners games growing up, they'd hand them out, and so I'd get a little bucket there, but digging through there, maybe like a year ago, I found like a Grady Sizemore in there who was around last year. Found a Longo in there, and just fun to be able to look back on cards that I collected growing up and playing with those guys now, and being around those guys now. It's just very kind of full circle.
See, that we wanted, someone asked, like, shouldn't you start with the bad news first? No, I want to soften the blow. I want Corbin Carroll on the first day of the full squad reporting talking about collecting baseball cards and opening them with kids at a kids camp. How wholesome is that? By the way, imagine, Jesse, just for a moment, being a young child who is hanging out with Corbin Carroll at a baseball camp, and then you get free baseball cards. And then when you open those cards, the second card you pull is Corbin Carroll, and then he just autographs it for you. What kind of dream life are you living as a small child at that point?
That's a spiritual experience, Derrick. I can't even imagine. Yeah, we did hear that Corbin, this was something that Torey Lovello unveiled in his press conference today. Apparently, after the Diamondbacks MVP event for season ticket holders over the weekend, Corbin went out and held a camp for kids for like 2.5 hours. That was all his own doing. Torey, of course, had a lot of praise there. And yeah, it sounds like those kids had a great time.
Well, speaking of spiritual experiences, we have one more clip of Corbin Carroll, who got to fly in a fighter jet in Tucson. And here's what he had to say about his experience flying in a fighter jet.
I think you're gonna have to cue this one up, Derrick.
Oh, did we lose David? Oh no! All right.
Yeah, I think. Let me just add on that. I think the most important. Up in a fighter jet.
badass. I mean, you know, those guys are insane. You know, they were like, "Yep, we're going up again tomorrow." After we were done, and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Yeah, I'd do that too." And then I woke up the next morning, and I was, "Nope, no good." So, yeah, just huge thanks to, you know, that crew out there in Tucson for having us out. You know, Air National Guard. We were with Mojo specifically, and then the guy I flew with was his name was also Corbin, so that was fun. So, yeah, shout out to Joker.
Again, Corbin getting to fly with a guy named Corbin, like everything lined up for him, for the kid that got to hang out with him. This is all wonderful, wholesome content that we hope is making your day a little better before we absolutely ruin it with the next thing we talk about. But Jesse, this was the positive side of the first day of full camp, and getting to see these guys out there taking live BPs against each other, fielding practice. Great day to be out at Salt River Fields, and there was a lot of people out there today.
There absolutely was. Yeah, I mean, today being a holiday, I'm sure helps with that. But yeah, there was a solid showing out here at Salt River today, and it's fun seeing a little bit more action. You know, it's not just like bullpens and PFPs. You know, seeing a little bit more live BP. You know, some of the D-backs hitters against pitchers. So yeah, a lot more action to see out here. If you haven't been out to Salt River and gotten a chance to witness all this in person, these next few days are about as good a time as any. You know, this window where everyone is here, but the games haven't started yet, and that chaos isn't there yet. This is a really good time to come out for sure.
All right. Well, we got the good out of the way, and yes, we were out there to see all of that, but we were also out there to talk to both Ken Kendrick and Derrick Hall, who expressed disappointment over the Diamondbacks not having a new stadium deal complete to keep them at Chase Field. And I'll preface this with, and I'm sure Jesse will agree with me because we discussed this. We're going to preface this by saying we don't think the Diamondbacks are going anywhere. When it comes to all of the potential options, it truly feels like Chase Field makes the most sense for the Diamondbacks to stay and renovate and not go anywhere else here in the state, and definitely not leave the great state of Arizona. But it doesn't mean that Kendrick's comments today weren't a little concerning. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, should we just jump into it? Should we just play the video?
Yeah, let's do that. Here's what Kendrick and Derrick Hall had to say about moving away from Chase Field potentially in their current situation with the negotiations.
Well, we aren't having those conversations. There are opportunities available. You know, there are other cities that would covet having Major League Baseball. I mean, it's not like I'm, you know, speaking out of school to say that. And those names they're prominent cities that would love to have a Major League team. We're not in dialogue with those communities, but you know, we are aware of what is going on. There is likely to be in time an expansion of our sport to a couple of additional cities. Cities are letting MLB know their interest. Their interest in getting a team is specific. They would be happy with a brand new franchise, but they would certainly be very happy, you know, with frankly a successful existing franchise. It's not where we are spending time or energy. We may run out of time in Phoenix. We hope that won't happen. You know, we're hard at it. We're continuing to have meetings. We've ramped up the dialogue in every way that we know how, and we'll continue to do that.
We do still have conversations with local interested parties. It's just it's a math problem with anything, right? But we still do take the phone calls and take the meetings, but we have been focused on Chase.
And again, the big takeaway here is that it's a reality of the situation. If the Diamondbacks do not get a new stadium deal done to stay at Chase Field and get what they feel like they want in return, which is a massive renovation of Chase Field to provide a better fan experience, then they could potentially explore these options outside of Arizona. It's not what you want to hear out of the owner, but I just think it is a fact. It's not a threat. I think he clarified there saying that they haven't had those conversations, that they're not pursuing that they're not putting energy into that. but it is one of the routes that this franchise could potentially go. And if they don't get a deal done, it's something they actually do have to explore.
Yeah, a couple things on this. First of all, I was the one who asked this question, and my question was actually about, is there a possibility of the Diamondbacks not staying at Chase Field but exploring other options in Maricopa County? It's something we've heard in the past. I'm not sure if maybe Ken just didn't hear the question or whatnot, but his answer was clearly not about staying within Maricopa County. He was talking about expansion sites. He was talking about the Diamondbacks leaving the state of Arizona, which is something that when we talked to Ken Kendrick a couple of months ago, this was right after the Eduardo Rodriguez press conference out at Chase Field. He said that's not going to happen, talking about the Diamondbacks leaving the state of Arizona entirely. His message today was different. And again, neither you nor I believe the Diamondbacks are leaving the state of Arizona. I don't think that is going to happen. But anytime a major league owner comes out and makes comments like the ones that Ken made today, it's a story. It is absolutely a story. And
Right.
I don't think, as much as we don't expect the Diamondbacks to leave Chase Field, I don't think that it is absolutely outlandish to be at least having a conversation about that, given that the Diamondbacks owner just went on the record and said we might run out of time in Phoenix, right? That is exactly what he said. We hope that doesn't happen. And a lot of people have been speculating, this is good negotiation tactic, right? You're not getting what you want. The Diamondbacks are trying to negotiate a deal with the county. Chase Field is county owned. The Diamondbacks are trying to arrange a partnership with the county to stay at Chase Field and get some help on all of these renovation costs that they want to do. And to this point, they're not getting the assistance from the county that they need. And that's why we're at this point. That's why Ken Kendrick said a year ago, basically today, that he wanted to have this figured out by the summer. Or I'm not sure if it was Derrick Hall, one of them last year around this
I
time.
believe it was Derrick Hall. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been Derrick Hall, and we're a year later, and it still hasn't happened. And the clear reason for that, and what they said is there is no deal, right? At this point, the Diamondbacks they've not been able to figure out a satisfactory arrangement with the county to stay at Chase Field and cover the renovation costs that they need. And Ken went further. They kind of outlined a little bit of what those renovations would look like. We have a clip on that we'll show in a second. They're looking at between $400 and $500 million to fund the Chase Field renovations, which Ken pointed out to today is actually more than the original cost of Chase Field, of Bank One Ballpark, I guess, back in the day.
Right.
Granted, there's been considerable inflation in that amount of time, but this is not a small amount of money. I mean, you're talking, this isn't the amount of money it would take to build a brand new stadium. I think in that case, you're in the billions, especially needing air conditioning and whatnot. But this is a lot of money. This is a lot of money, not just to improve the stadium and make it a more fan-friendly, fun experience, adding new things around the ballpark, but fixing the guts at Chase Field, which is something that we've talked about for a long time. So yeah, I don't think the Diamondbacks are going to move. To me, this looks like a negotiation tactic, and honestly, a pretty smart one. That if I were you, I wouldn't necessarily be faulting Ken Kendrick for this. I think this is just sort of a good businessman tactic. But it is a story, and it is a conversation we absolutely have to have. Even though in the long run, we still are fairly confident we know how this is going to turn out.
Don't get it twisted. I completely agree with you. There's some people in the chat blaming you for starting all of this drama because you asked the question. I will
yes,
say
it was my fault.
Ken started the drama with the answer, and like you said, I think he very much knows what he was doing with that. Is it the answer you want to hear? Absolutely not. Is this something we should be talking about after a team made the World Series and built their roster to be competitive again this season? No. I'm very much not wanting to talk about this on the first day of position players reporting for camp. I'm dying here because of it. But the point is that you are right. The Diamondbacks are in an advantageous position, especially due to the success from the postseason run. So you cannot blame them for, at this point, venting their frustrations a little bit, or at least their disappointment. Like he said, he clarified it wasn't frustration on his part as much as it was disappointment that they were standing here a year later from when they said that they probably will have a new, stadium deal here in place shortly, without a stadium deal in place. And Ken Kendrick expanded on what the Diamondbacks desires for a public-private partnership are, and this is what he had to say about that.
We need to keep our fans enthusiastic and growing in numbers, and willing to invest in premium seating, but we can't do that without capital investment. Our public partners understand it. We just haven't been willing to come. They haven't been willing to come to the table and reach an agreement with us. When you look across the landscape of professional sports, all across the country, stadiums that have been around in the timeline that our stadium has been around are being reprised and being upgraded, and cities that frankly are not as economically vibrant as our city is, our community is, and places like Baltimore and Cleveland and Milwaukee, and I don't want to go on, but there are many others where public-private partnership is coming together to take the fan experience, take the stadiums to state-of-the-art levels. And we're frankly disappointed we haven't been able to do it, and we're going to keep working. We're not ever going to stop working to get this problem taken care of, but it's taken longer, and it's not been as easy to get done as we would have hoped. But we would have liked to have been standing here today, having reached a plan, being able to have announced it perhaps before now, and to have had you all know what our intentions are going forward. But right now we can't give you a plan on what we're going to do because we don't have an agreement.
Now, they did say that they have reinvested some of the money that they made during the postseason run already back into Chase Field, a substantial amount. In fact, they did install a new sound system that we have discussed before. They also installed new lights, the LED lights that do the multicolor lights. I saw them with purple lights on the other day. It looks great. So, again, all signs point to the Diamondbacks staying at Chase Field, and that's truly what Kendrick and Hall both expressed today as far as their desires to stay at Chase Field, to renovate it, and to just make that fan experience something that is on par with other franchises across baseball.
Yeah, it was interesting. Derrick, when he talked about not you, Derrick, the other Derrick, just so we're
The
clear.
one that spells it wrong.
Yeah, the one who spelled with 2 R's and a CK. It's ridiculous.
And a C and a K. Pick a C or a K, one or the other.
He also talked about how the Diamondbacks prioritize those changes you talked about, the LED lights and the sound system, over fixing the roof. So as of now, the roof at Chase Field has not been fixed, and it didn't really sound like that was something the team was planning on doing. We're obviously getting close to games being played at Chase Field, and I don't think, from what Derrick said, it did not sound like that was something that was on their radar, to be done before the season or anything.
What he did say was that they have an understanding of when they can open it and how they can utilize. Yeah. Basically, there's just no more opening in the middle of a game like they were able to at one point, right? It's kind of got to be an all-in decision now that they make before the game. But aside from that, that doesn't really prevent them from having the roof open. It just means that they might have to open it earlier and make it a little more uncomfortable in there than they would like, considering they can't do it while fans are in the building. But they do have they have prioritized other things that they want to get done. And like you said, they are looking for somewhere in the neighborhood of $400 to $500 million, which is a significant renovation. And they talked a lot. They talked on the TV deal side about the Suns, but they also talked about comparing Chase Field to what they did at the Footprint Center. I've spoken in the past about how much I am a fan of what they've done there. I've been going to that building since I was a small child, and it's a completely different vibe now. I kind of love going to events at Footprint Center, which I couldn't say the same for about a 10-year span there prior to the renovations they made. Chase Field is still great, but I understand the desire to continue to improve it and to bring it up to an experience that will make people want to come out more often and want to be at the ballpark more.
Yeah, one other thing I want to point out, going back to that first video we showed with Ken talking about the Diamondbacks, potentially. Oh, We're zoomed in now.
We're bigger.
Love it.
We're bigger.
We're bigger. There we go. There was a follow-up question after Ken had made some comments about, hoping it doesn't get to the point of looking elsewhere. There was a follow-up question about, is that a threat? Like, are you kind of threatening to go elsewhere if you don't get the deal that you want? And, Ken said, no, it's not a threat. That's not the way that we want to do business. He talked about how Derrick has raised his family in Arizona, and Ken's been in Arizona, and, they're very much committed to Arizona. But at the same time, like, I don't know, like, there's an element of, if you are issuing a threat, you wouldn't want to call it that. Like, you would want to come out and say that. So
No, it's not a threat.
Right.
It's just facts. These are just facts I'm presenting to you.
I don't know if I don't know if threat is the right word, but going back to what we said before of like a negotiation tactic. And this is something that we've seen in baseball over and over and over again, where if a team is having stadium issues, if a team wants a new stadium or renovations or whatnot, a route that we have often seen in the past is you threaten to go elsewhere, and suddenly you tend to get what you want, because Maricopa County does not want the Diamondbacks going anywhere else, of course. And, both Ken and Derrick said that's been made clear throughout the process, that Maricopa County very much wants the Diamondbacks to stay here in Arizona. But it's just a matter of the financials working. And, as Ken pointed out in that other video we showed, we've seen this in other markets, in Milwaukee and Baltimore and so forth, where there were partnerships, public-private partnerships, in order to fund renovations and keep ballparks in good condition to continue to be enjoyed by fans. And that's what the Diamondbacks want here. I don't think they're going anywhere, but I do think that, Ken going from saying that it's not going to happen for the team to go elsewhere to now today kind of changing the messaging and saying there is opportunity out there and we hope it doesn't come to that, but, kind of leaving it open a little bit. That shift to me signals that the Diamondbacks are trying to make it clear to the county, like, where they stand and, how important it is to them to form some kind of partnership along these lines in order to continue forward at Chase Field. So it's a complicated issue for sure. And hopefully the Diamondbacks have a solution soon, because their lease expires at the end of 2027. So we've got this season and then 3 more seasons after this before the Diamondbacks very much need to know where they're playing baseball games.
And that's that thing about what Ken Kendrick was saying in the first place that caused all of this concern, is that realistically the time is running out. And if time permits them or keeps them from getting a deal done, then where do the Diamondbacks play baseball, right? So that's a fact, but then it does come out like a threat. Josh Hunt in the chat said someone else is reporting there was a follow-up question asking if his response was a threat, and he said no. Can you confirm that? Yeah, that exact
that's what I was just
wording
was
asked. I think it was Craig Fooey said that specifically. But
again, I mean, if someone in any life scenario, if you are representing an organization and someone asks you, is blank a threat? Your answer is universally going to be no. It does you no good in that situation to say, yes, it was a threat. Even if, again, threat isn't the word I would use, but I do think it's sort of along those lines of like a negotiation tactic. The Diamondbacks have leverage, right? They could theoretically go elsewhere. There's not a shortage of interest out there. And so, it's leverage. The Diamondbacks have leverage as a team that would be coveted in other markets, as Ken said.
Jesse, there's also the fact that, like, there's not a week that goes by that someone doesn't have to ask me if I threatened you. Do I ever say yes? They were like, did you tell Jesse you would murder him if he didn't put something on the rundown? And I would say, no, I would never threaten Jesse like that, right? So you have to say no when someone asks you if it's a threat. But when asked about what renovations would consist of, the one thing I'm still interested in is how they would potentially fit some sort of other businesses, some sort of entertainment district, if you will, in that vicinity. Like if that would involve them, doing some major construction on the building to maybe have like businesses that would be attached to Chase Field itself, or what that would consist of, because there isn't a lot of space and they don't have much space in that area to expand at all, between 7th Street and the Phoenix Convention Center and the railroad behind them. There's just nowhere for them to go. So that's interesting to me. But Derrick Hall did comment on what those $400+ million renovations would consist of at Chase Field.
We've We started that work probably about 7 years ago. So there's a lot of things we would like to do. We would, I think people often ask, are you going to limit the capacity or take some seats out? That's not the plan, but really upgrade the amenities, upgrade the clubs that we can. And for all families, we're going to have areas where it's not a cost, to fans. So whether you're talking about areas for children, redoing what we have upstairs for kids to play in, there's a big need. But if you look at some of the newer ballparks, we talked about this a year ago, if you look at anything from the Battery in Atlanta to some of the newer ballparks or their ballpark villages, you want to have activation around the ballpark as well. So we look at what development opportunities there are around the building. But then when you look inside these new facilities, clubs are really important, right? Those are amenities that people want, the all-inclusive, especially our companies in town that want to be able to host and take clients to the game and be able to have dinner already paid for, where the guest doesn't have to worry about that. So there's a lot that we need to do, and we're excited to do it. And we'll get there, we hope. But I think where we're encouraged is in those conversations that we're still having today, you hear the willingness, right, from all the municipalities. They don't want us going anywhere, so that's encouraging. And again, I hope there's light at the end of the tunnel, because we're ready to get started. We want to get started, and it does have to be phased out probably over 3 or 4 off seasons because of the bowl games and the concerts and the fact that you can't shut down before the opening day of the next year.
How much?
Gabriel Ferrer has the most important comment. He says, if the upgrades don't include Panda Express, we don't want it. We don't want it. Give me a Dutch Bros and a Panda Express, and if not, I'm not interested. I don't care what businesses come in. But Jesse, yeah, definitely.
Who cares about the plumbing or the insulation or
concrete,
any of that nonsense? Yeah, just give us Panda Express. That's all we ask for, right?
Connor makes a great point as well. Connor says, if they are planning to build a new stadium, I would think it should happen soon, because ballparks aren't built overnight, and that's definitely true.
Yeah, and on that is a big at least one takeaway from me today, is that the possibility of building another stadium within Maricopa County does not seem like a likely outcome to me. You saw in that first clip that we showed, Derrick kind of gave a footnote at the end saying that they have continued to engage with, local people who are interested in maybe facilitating something like that. But that there was very little time spent today on the possibility of building another stadium within Maricopa County. It sounds to me like the D-backs really just want to stay at Chase Field. They haven't really found anything else. And, they're perhaps using the idea of going to another state as leverage in order to get that.
Christopher said no mention of the roof. Interestingly enough, they did. We didn't show that clip, but he did bring up, again, that they feel like they have control of the roof right now. But it like the roof,
they would do that. I'm sure they would fix
absolutely.
The roof at some point.
It's definitely going to be part of the renovation, fixing the roof. It's just, it's not something they've done yet. And it's not very high on their priority list, considering, that they had other things they wanted to do that impacted the experience, the television experience of watching a game at Chase Field, the experience of being at Chase Field. The sound system was important, and the new sound system sounds great. The LED lights, I think, are going to add something spectacular that we have been missing out on. So I feel like they're on the right path. Like you said, they've been renovating that building for 7 years now, so they're going to continue to do so. And I don't feel like they would be putting any money into it if their plan wasn't essentially, at the end of the day, to stay there. So we'll have to see how that develops, but we definitely have more on the TV situation. Of course, we thank you guys for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our wonderful shows go live. Leave us a thumbs up. We always appreciate those likes. Of course, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, we love our listeners as well. Make sure you're subscribed over there. Leave us a review. We appreciate those 5-star reviews. They definitely help us out substantially. Jesse is out at Salt River Fields, of course, with the most beautiful background that any baseball podcaster could have. I am here at my house, and all I can do is think about upgrading my floors, Jesse, especially in this room that you see. This room has regular carpeting in it, but it needs something better than that. This room that I'm in right now, it needs something like from a roller rink or something from an arcade to truly complete the look of what I'm going for in my office. And the perfect people to do that with is our friends at Empire Today. At Empire Today, they have carpet and flooring, and they will get you where you need to go with their at-home shopping convenience. They'll get you the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a price match guarantee. So that way you don't have to worry about spending too much on, and not doing the shopping around part. Of course, shopping for floors at a big box store can be frustrating, and it can eat up your time. Nobody wants to give up their time like that anymore. So make sure to shop at home. They have a virtual home designer that lets you see how the floors will look in your home in any space. And of course, they also pride themselves on their servicing their own warranties. So if you have any issues that arise during the process, Empire Today will take care of it for you. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 discount when they use promo code PHNX. Restrictions do apply. See empiretoday.com/PHNX for details. Jesse, I know you're going to stop at Circle K on your way home, of course, because neither one of us have enough time in our lives anymore to stop and actually eat a meal with all of this spring training.
I literally have not. I guess I had like a pastry that I brought from home today. But yeah, I haven't eaten anything else, and that's pretty much par for the course. So Circle K comes in clutch very often.
It does. Jesse kind of scolds me for my pocket sandwiches, but then when I'm enjoying a pocket sandwich out at the Cloverleaf Fields, I got that all mixed up. He's a little envious of the pocket sandwich, but of course, you can stop by and get yourself snacks. Fill up your pockets with snacks. Make sure you pay for them. Don't steal them, but they're cheap at Circle K, so you don't have to steal them. Make sure you get down on the Inner Circle program for free also as well by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply. Participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details, but if you do, you'll get some of those snacks for free and even cheaper than you normally would. You also save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups with the Inner Circle program, so sign up today. Jesse, of course, now the future is uncertain about where Diamondbacks will even be playing their games, but the future of now, including spring training games and where we're going to watch those, is still up in the air in regards to the Diamondbacks TV deal.
Yeah. Man, there was a lot to get into in this press conference today. We talked with Ken and Derrick for almost 40 minutes. I do not envy them having to deal with all of these various things kind of happening at once right now.
Especially when this should be a happy time, right? Like, we shouldn't be talking about anything negative. We didn't have to go in there and ask who the closer is going to be. We didn't have to ask what they're going to do with Madison Bumgarner. Like, the outlook is positive. There should be good vibes out at Salt River Fields. There have been so far at spring training camp, but today, Hall and Kendrick definitely had to deal with the tough questions. And the fact is that both of these situations, they're just kind of taking a long time to get resolved.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the Diamondbacks start playing spring training games 4 days from now, and presumably they would like to televise some of those spring training games, and yet they don't actually have a TV partner at this point, which is something that Derrick pointed out himself. So yeah, I think we're going to get a resolution here soon. We had heard a report from The Athletic a couple weeks ago that mentioned kind of in passing that the Diamondbacks would be using MLB to broadcast their games this season. That does seem like a possibility, but it does not, from what we heard today, that is not the case. At least that has not been finalized. Derrick said the Diamondbacks are still talking with Major League Baseball. That still seems like an option that is certainly on the table, but they're having conversations with other people as well and hope to have a final solution here pretty soon.
This is what Derrick Hall had to say in regards to their current situation with the TV deal.
No, we are. We're still talking to those interested, other parties where we could look at options, and we have considered over the air. We've looked at a possibility of a hybrid if that would work, but we're still talking to Major League Baseball, who did a really nice job jumping in last year, making sure that our fans could still see the games. They did a really nice job with production, and technically they upgraded our product on TV. So obviously they are a possible partner. OTA is a possible partner, and we're looking at any and all options at this point. But I think, again, wanting to have a decision, we probably want to have a decision by the end of this week as we're in spring training, but we continue to talk as well. And I don't think there's a great sense of urgency other than we would like to televise some spring games, so we need to know how we're going to televise and where people can watch it. But I'm convinced we'll have something to announce here soon, very soon.
Oh, those Bluetooth mics, they'll get you every time. Yeah, the Diamondbacks are also in an advantageous position here when it comes to this TV deal, right? I mean, this is a team that the future is very bright. They just come off of an incredible postseason run. Like, now couldn't be a better time as far as the Diamondbacks having that power in negotiations that you discussed earlier in both of these situations. So, I mean, maybe part of that is the fact that the Diamondbacks are the ones that are in the driver's seat here for this stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, with regard to the stadium situation and the TV situation, it sure doesn't hurt that the Diamondbacks were in the World Series just like 3 or 4 months ago, right? That came at a pretty good time. This organization is about as attractive from a business standpoint right now as it's been in a very long time. So that is definitely a factor. I think, in another sense, the D-backs are in a tough situation. Ken talked about how the bankruptcy proceedings with the whole Diamond Sports Group situation, when you're in business with an entity that goes bankrupt, you tend to be in a pretty difficult situation. The Diamondbacks do not expect to get, the amount of money that they had previously under their old TV deal. I think that was always going to be the case. And, they've been factoring that in for a while. But it's tough, losing one TV partner and having to find another. They're still in a kind of a difficult situation here.
Well, here's what Kendrick had to say about that TV deal, and also about how they also have to still deal with this bankruptcy that they're going through with Diamond Sports Group.
Yeah, I think, let me just add on that. I think the most important thing for a fan is, are games going to be available on TV like they have been? And the answer is absolutely. It's not whether they will be, it's kind of what the delivery mechanism behind the scenes will be and whom it will be with. I mean, we moved within the season last year to a change, and I think if you're a fan of the Diamondbacks, it was pretty seamless. And what we end up doing this year, I think, will be the same for the fans. The challenge is on our side of the table, the economics of what the revenue streams that the television will create for us, which is not an insignificant part of our revenue. And there are multiple options, and we're continuing to work them. We're unfortunately in the category of being, I'll use the phrase, being victimized by the bankruptcy courts. If you've ever been in that situation where your business partner went bankrupt, it's a very challenging place to be. And it's like, I use the example, it's like being in a soap opera, and we all know how soap operas work. You tune in today and something is happening, and you tune in tomorrow and something brand new is happening. And that's what goes on in bankruptcy court. And we've been, since March of last year, our activity has been a part of what we've been doing in the local TV RSN landscape has been bankruptcy court driven. I can assure you it's not a place we would wish to be. And, yet our job is to make sure we take care of our fans. I mean, at the end of the day, we will.
I think that's important because, again, there is some concern. I mean, when you hear this, this kind of negotiation is going on, you do wonder how it's going to impact our ability to watch games and where we're going to be able to watch games. Last year, that was a concern for us. And when they did make that transition, like Ken said, it was fairly seamless, especially if you were like a DirecTV user. You had to just go up one channel. You know what I mean? Like there really didn't seem to be a lot that impacted a fan's ability to get these games. And that seems to be the case, but we don't know when this situation is going to resolve itself. And spring training games are supposed to be played this Friday. They talked about wanting to, play these games on television, and they still don't know where that's going to be or how those games are going to be televised.
One of my favorite things about talking to Ken Kendrick is, when he tries to explain something that happens in business as if like people in the room can actually relate.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever been in business with an entity that goes bankrupt,
when one of your partners goes bankrupt. Yeah.
And all of us
we
in
totally
the room
there.
like,
We all did that. Yeah.
Who hasn't been in business with an entity that went bankrupt? We know exactly what you're talking about.
Just last week, I was dealing with that shit. I totally get where you're coming from. We get it. You're
But
rich, you know?
yeah, it's definitely different problems than what many of us are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, it's not, there's no, concerns here about Diamondbacks games not being available to the masses. I get the sense that it will still be fairly seamless as it was last year, whatever this new system is. It still feels to me that Major League Baseball is probably the most likely option here. That's kind of the safety net. That's the fallback that's in place. We've already seen what that looks like. It was pretty easy for fans. The product, as Derrick alluded to, was better. I think Valley Sports did a good job as well. But once MLB stepped in, there was another level of quality there that I think a lot of people enjoyed. So yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Over the air has still been floated out as an idea, along with a number of other options. The idea of maybe merging an MLB arrangement with another partner as well. Is that possible? There's still a lot on the table from at least from what they said publicly today. So yeah, hopefully we get some real clarity on this soon.
Of course, the fans all want the Diamondbacks to go the same route as the Suns did and go with that over-the-air option. Of course, we know that not everybody is benevolent as Matt Ishbia, and he should be the owner of every sports team in the Valley. We know that. But Derrick Hall did talk about kind of pursuing something similar, and that they actually have discussed they had some of this TV deal stuff with the Suns. Here's what he had to say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we did, we expected it. We knew it was coming even last year, looking at our projections for go forward. And bringing up the Suns, we've talked to the Suns a lot too. Is there a way for us to partner in the future together? And I hope we can. We're starting to have more and more conversations about partnerships with the Suns, and the relationships have been great. So I can envision something down the road where we can do something together too.
Is MLB Network the backstop in all of this?
Yeah, MLB Network. We know we can go on MLB, today if we decide to. So, and they've been very patient. We've told them we're continuing to explore other options. They know we have other options and offers on the table. So again, we're just trying to hammer down what it would look like if we're on an MLB versus one of those other options, or if there's a way to do both. And I think we'll have an announcement very soon.
He seems and he said that a few times, where he sounded very positive that this TV deal situation will be complete soon. And he's used that word soon. He said, very soon a couple of times.
Yeah. I mean, they're running out of time, frankly, with this one, right? I mean, the stadium situation, they've got, theoretically years. They don't need another place to play for multiple years. That's not the case with the broadcast situation. The very beginning of that clip, just so people know, that was a question about revenue, and if the Diamondbacks expect to take a bit of a hit revenue wise with their new TV arrangement. And you heard Derrick at the beginning there say, yes, we've been factoring that in. That's been in our projections. So no surprise there. We don't know exactly how big of a hit that is. But one of the bigger takeaways for me today was that the Diamondbacks went out and they invested quite a bit of money in this team over the offseason, despite quite a bit of uncertainty in two major areas, right? The stadium situation, there's a lot of uncertainty there. The team potentially having to invest more in renovations than they were planning to or wanted to. There's also this TV situation where the team is certainly taking a hit financially. So, it'll be interesting to see if this new higher payroll that the Diamondbacks have, if it's sustainable, if it lasts, for a number of years, or if this is kind of a one-year thing after the World Series. But yeah, I think you have to give ownership here some credit for, making those investments despite some of the uncertainties around this team.
Brett Johnson asked in the chat, did I hear Derrick just say pocket sand? Sha. Yeah, no, that I said pocket sandwich. Pocket sand is different. That's what I throw in Jesse's eyes, or at least threaten to throw in Jesse's eyes. And then I say that's not a threat, like I said earlier. Of course, a great way for you guys to watch spring training games and not worry about whether or not they'll be televised is to just go see them in person. And a great way to get those tickets is through Game Time, especially if you're getting those tickets last minute. Game Time is the place for last minute ticket deals. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. You can snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download their app right now, which is an aesthetically pleasing app, as Jesse will tell you. Create an account and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Of course, if you are a diehard, we appreciate you being here in the chat right now. Of course, if you are not a diehard, we also appreciate you being in chat. But if you aren't one, maybe check out what we have to offer over at gophnx.com. Join the diehards, become a family, become part of our family, and get yourself all sorts of exclusive benefits, including a free t-shirt from the phnxlocker.com of your choosing, all of the wonderful content that we have exclusively for diehards on the website and Discord, Jesse's content. You get all of our content. You get access to our Discord lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan, discounts with our partners, discounts on our events like our upcoming takeover this July at the Chase Field pool, and so much more. So make sure to join us today. Shout out to Michael in the chat. He said being a diehard is worth it. Do it. Join us today. Of course, another great thing to do is to grab that BetMGM Sportsbook app, because it makes watching sports better. And now is a great time to get down on maybe some of those future bets. Maybe Zach Gallen, Cy Young again. Let's go. Let's ride with it. Of course, you can download the Sportsbook app right now. And of course, if you sign up using our code of PHNX and make your first deposit of $5 and a bet at that amount or more at a standard odds price, you will receive $150 in bonus bets regardless of the outcome of your wager. Sign up for BetMGM and use that bonus code of PHNX, the best letters in the entire alphabet. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the mobile application for at least $5. You will receive $150 instantly in additional winnings regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Damon talk about the disclaimer.
Promo call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms. This promotional offer is not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Puerto
Rico. There it is.
That was terrible. I was bad on that one. Yeah, the guys are right. Of course, the best place for Jesse memes is in the Discord. So, of course, become a diehard to get that.
Yes.
And,
yeah, it's worth it just for the memes of my
It's
face.
worth it just for the Jesse
It really
memes.
is. It pays for itself.
Another thing that it's worth it for is that with all of this news happening, we're going to have to start moving some of our Mailbag Monday over to the Discord. So, of course, if you want to get down on Mailbag Monday, make sure to become a diehard so that you get all of our answers to all of these questions. But of course, Jesse, I gave it away. You know what today is? I know it's the day that Full Squad is reporting, but it's also our year, because every year is our year. Every month on this show is Black History Month. Every week on this show is Shark Week. Every day is Earth Day. But of course, today is Monday, and on Mondays, we go to the mailbag. Damon, shall we?
My mailbox, always something interesting in my mailbox. I try to get to everything in my mailbox, and then once in a while, there's a letter that makes me go, wow, wow, my mailbox.
All right, what do we got? First Mailbag Monday question. He got me with the mailbox. Comes from Travis Moore. More for me. And Travis asks, do we got that up? We don't. All right. He says, from what I can add up with the Grichuk addition, that really leaves 2 backup infield spots available, 13 pitchers, 5 outfielders, 2 catchers, and the 4 starting infielders. Who gets those last 2 spots on the opening day roster? I'd love for Blaze to be one of them, but that seems unlikely from everything I've been reading. Lot of predicting there, Jesse, but what are your thoughts here in regards to the last 2 spots on the opening day roster? I know you've already done your roster predictions, but has anything changed for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the team, my last roster projection was pre-Jock Peterson, pre-Randall Grichuk. I think those moves do change the dynamics of the roster for sure. So yeah, I'm going to probably take another stab at doing that here in the next few days. But yeah, you probably, I think it's likely that those 2 guys will be infielders. I mean, I don't want to rule out Jake McCarthy making the team entirely. Maybe there's a world in which Manuel Rivera or Jace Peterson, we heard yesterday that both of those guys are going to get a look at shortstop. And yeah, I mean, maybe there's a world in which, one of those guys could give you everything you need defensively on the infield, but I don't really think that's likely. So yeah, there's a few different scenarios that are possible. I think most likely you're going to need one guy who's ready to go at shortstop, and then another guy who can kind of cover a variety of positions. So yeah, there's honestly a lot of different ways that could shake out at this point. I think Kevin Newman,
I was going to say
Emmanuel
Kevin
Rivera.
Newman.
Yeah, Newman, Emmanuel Rivera, as I mentioned earlier, Jordan Lawler, at least has a chance, although I know we talked about him the other day. It sounds like it's maybe more likely for him to start at Reno.
Yeah.
Jace Peterson, certainly in that mix as well. Tori mentioned Pavin Smith, backup first baseman, although that's something Emmanuel Rivera could cover as well. So there's a lot of different ways that the team could go, for those last couple spots.
All right. Next question, Damon. Next question comes from our guy, Ryan Hanley. And Ryan wants to know, what are the top 3 can't miss promo / giveaway games for each of you? Oh, man. This is a great question because the Diamondbacks did reveal all of their promo giveaways for the season at their most valuable party. And they are pretty incredible. They, as far as I'm concerned, they hit on everything that I particularly wanted to see them provide. We have multiple bobbleheads. I think there was 4 total. I think we have some replica alt jerseys. We have NL championship replica rings, Jesse, which I need one of those for myself. But if I'm being honest, there's a couple of things that stand out for me. The number 1 promo item for me is that Alec Thomas t-shirt, because it is fire. It is incredible. It looks like something we would make if we got a deal done with Alec Thomas to be a partner with PHNX. And I love it so much. I think Saul and I were talking about it, and Saul said he would pay for that shirt. He's like, that shirt should just be available in the team shop, because I don't want to have to go just get it on one particular night. I want to go buy it, and I want to buy it in my size. I want it to fit me, and I want it to be a quality shirt because it's an incredible shirt.
There's some pretty cool stuff just that opening weekend against the Rockies. I mean, there's NL Champions rally towels being given away to the first 40,000 fans on opening day. That's going to be fun. It's going to kind of feel like the playoffs all over again. They're doing an NL Champions tee the day after that. I believe that's Friday, the 29th. And then you've got a Corbin Carroll Rookie of the Year bobblehead that
March
Saturday 30th. To the first 20,000 fans. So yeah, and there's a Gabby Moreno Gold Glove bobblehead. That would maybe make my top 3.
Yeah,
and a note that you missed, Derrick, that I do have to point out: those NL Champions replica rings, those are being given out strategically, we assume, against a very specific opponent, the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah!
Give out their NL Champions ring. So
Let's
that's probably my
go!
number 1. I think
I love
that's
it.
funny, and I respect the Diamondbacks throwing some shade at the Phillies with doing that.
We love throwing shade. It's the pettiness is off the charts here, and I am here for it. The only way it would be better is if the ring had like a little image of Alec Thomas planting the flag made out of like jewels in it. That would be incredible. Just engrave that on the side. They have some great giveaway items this year, much better than last year. That Gabby Moreno Gold Glove bobblehead is badass. He's in the Serpientes jersey. He's gunning someone. He's got the gold glove on. It's really good. So and they gave us Lourdes as a Star Wars bobblehead. They did give us Lourdes as the Star Wars guy. I haven't seen it though, so I don't know what that bobblehead's going to look like.
I'm a little concerned at what lengths people will go to get some of these giveaway items. Like, are people going to be camped out in front of Chase Field, like, the night before the game or something? Like, I think we're going to see some ludicrous things, because some of these items are pretty desirable. And I do and also don't understand people wanting to do insane things in order to get them.
Well, we will see. We will see how far people will go. What else we got, Damon? What's our next question? This one comes from Slickzilla12 on Twitter, and Slick asks, with all the complaints going around, what do you think are the odds that the new jerseys get changed? I already canceled my order after seeing how low quality they feel and how bad the names look. I will agree with you on how the names look. But I don't think the jerseys themselves feel that low quality. I actually saw a couple of fans wearing the replicas close up, and they looked really good, to be honest. We were talking about this in the clubhouse today, but now, much like the TV deal, much like the stadium deal, now's a good time for the Diamondbacks to be doing some of the things they're doing, and that includes changing jerseys. You don't have to look at this year's jersey and compare it to last year and see all of the little differences and how maybe it was better when Nike was producing it than Fanatics or whatever. But I understand people's disappointment. These baseball jerseys are expensive, like more expensive than other sports, it feels like. And I can understand people not wanting to spend $300 or $250 or whatever it costs to get, a jersey that's disappointing to you. I will say though that the
Yeah.
jersey themselves and the material and everything, they look great. I think the Diamondbacks don't have the same concerns that some of the other teams have. But I'm with you. There is some issues with the lettering and the numbers. I do think some of that stuff can be fixed. I just think there's not a lot of time for them to do that. The letters, that's kind of an easy fix, but changing the material of the jerseys themselves, that would be much harder. I think they're in a little different position with the pants because I feel like the pants are that's a whole other situation where they've limited the number of options that they have to customize the pants. But I don't know, man. I still really like the way these jerseys look, and seeing the Diamondbacks players wear these black with the teal trim and the teal hat, they don't look low quality in person to me.
Yeah, they still look cool. I mean, I think maybe they could look better, but I still think they look really cool. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a little hard for me to say much on whether a change will happen. Again, I think the limited interaction we've had with players on this particular topic, I've heard positive things from players on the jerseys, and they're like,
Yeah, I have to.
wait, other people don't like how they look. So and also Rob Manfred, when he spoke with the media a few days ago, he said that his expectation was over time people would, start to actually like these jerseys. And, there's always going to be some initial pushback when you make a big change like this. And he kind of expects that to dissipate over time. So it doesn't sound from what we've heard that any changes are imminent.
Just make the letters bigger. Make them look more like, what are we doing here? It's not that hard. You just you just look at what the jerseys look like last year and try to replicate that when it comes to those small issues. The fabric itself and things like that would be much more difficult for them to change at this point. That's not something that I think is as big of a concern as just making some small alterations to the fonts and how big the letters are and things like that. Outside of that, I think
Yeah.
especially with the Diamondbacks, I think they look great. So yeah, it's at least a good time for them to change. What else we got, Damon? I know this one was about the roof, and it's from our friend Michael Rokicki. Michael asks, is the situation with the roof the same last year? I missed the roof opening music. There was a lot of questions and a lot of discussion in our chat I saw earlier when we were talking about this, and it would appear the roof situation is not changing for 2024. It would appear they still are going to need to make some sort of permanent decision, if you will, on if they're going to open the roof or not. It can't be just kind of a mid-game opening with fans in the building. I think there's still potentially the same danger that they had previously due to whatever is wrong with the roof with people in the building. But like I said earlier, Derrick Hall did make comments about how they feel like they have a much better understanding of the roof and when they can open it and how they can kind of schedule to have it as open as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's not awful, right? Like the D-backs can still have the roof open for, the first month or so of the year. We saw it open again in the playoffs. It was, it's beautiful when it's open. I mean, I think Chase Field with the roof open as opposed to the roof closed, I think it makes a massive difference. So yeah, they found a way to get by and still make it so fans get a taste of, what it's like to have the roof open for a while, but it's not the same. I know a lot of people in the chat have been talking about the music and missing the roof opening music.
Yeah,
that was a fixture of my childhood back in the day as well. So yeah, I totally understand that. And based on what Derrick said today, it doesn't sound like it's going to be done before the season starts. It's I feel pretty confident saying it's not going to be done during the season. So you're maybe looking at next off season as the next opportunity to do this, which of course is contingent on, the stadium situation and
Right.
kind of more solutions on that front.
I have a solution to the problem though, Jesse.
What is that?
Corbin Carroll should adopt the roof opening music as his walk-up song.
There we go. It'd
Right?
be a good way to make up for it.
Then we hear it 4 times a game, maybe 5. Come on,
Might be
I think
even better, right?
I think that's a better solution than having it just be for the roof. I think we figured it out. All right, last question comes from Don's Bread, and Don's Bread has a specific question for you, Jesse Friedman, and that is, can we get Jesse to recreate this exact photo of Jock Peterson hoverboarding his way into Salt River Fields with a bright pink hoodie on and some beige sweatpants that look very comfortable. Those look very, very comfortable. This is Jock. This is him. This is what we got. Jesse, can we get you to recreate this exact photo?
If you purchased all the clothing items for me, then I'll match the fit. All right. I'll give you that much. But if you want me to ride around on a hoverboard, I'm telling you, it's not going to go well for me. I'm going to fall within like 2 seconds of getting on that thing.
Oh,
We actually talked to Jock Peterson in the clubhouse today. We don't have this clip to share, unfortunately, but we did talk to Jock today about the hoverboard. And he said he hasn't, like, he started riding this thing like 7 years ago or something.
oh my God.
And he said, knock on wood, that he wouldn't he wouldn't fall or have any kind of accident anytime soon. So I guess he's gotten pretty good at it, but I am not. I've never been on one of those, and it would be an utter disaster if I tried. So
I have not had many interactions so far with Jock, but I will say that the man is as advertised. Like, he is definitely a unique personality, and as someone who also has a unique personality, I appreciate the hell out of him. I really appreciate a guy just so being himself, like on day one around his teammates that he is. I remember he came into the clubhouse on day one of pitchers and catchers reporting and was kind of shocked at how many media members there were there. There's a lot to enjoy about Jock already so far. So I think this is going to be fun. And of course, this is just the beginning of the fits. This is just the beginning of reviewing Jock Peterson's fits. But we do appreciate you guys sending your questions. Of course, we love our Mailbag Monday questions, and we are going to take the rest of these over to the Discord. We will have a little video with me and Jesse breaking down some more Mailbag Monday questions. So if you are a diehard, make sure to check that out. If you're not a diehard, make sure to get your membership today over at gophnx.com. Of course, we talked about where the Diamondbacks games are going to be, but we do know where the Suns are playing, and maybe a place where everyone would like to see the Diamondbacks end up, and that's over at Arizona Family Sports. The season continues for those Suns as they take on the Mavericks this Thursday at 5:30 p.m. and watch the Rockets at 6 p.m. on Friday. And of course, you can see all of these games on Arizona's Family 3 TV and Arizona Family Sports Channel 44. The Suns are coming in hot. They're heating up. Of course, this All-Star break. All-Star game definitely pales in comparison to baseball's All-Star break. We don't even have to.
It's so bad. It was
terrible.
Waste of time, Derrick.
The court was awesome. The court was about the only thing worth talking about at all.
That's it.
I'll tell you, baseball once again remains king of All-Star weekend. But make sure to not miss out on watching these Suns. Of course, you can watch them in a number of ways with Arizona's Family, and that's what makes it so great to watch sports over at Arizona Family. You can watch it with an antenna, Cox Cable Channel 13, in Phoenix and Flagstaff, available on Dish Channel 44, and so many other ways. Of course, wherever you live in Arizona, visit azfamily.com and click Suns games for listing information and for your area. AZ Family is a great resource to help you find Phoenix Suns games on Arizona Family Sports. And another great way to celebrate Arizona, of course, and to have some fun around the Valley is to check out Arizona Lottery's new unique ticket promotion called Arizona Adventure, where you can win in a variety of ways. 3 different ways you can win. Of course, one way is to just get the Arizona Adventure Lottery tickets featuring some iconic Arizona landscapes. These tickets have prizes up to $50,000, but you can also check in at geolocated adventure spots, 10 destinations across the state from Flagstaff to Yuma, and that will give you an opportunity to win $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prizes. This promotion celebrates state pride and the uniqueness and beauty of this state. Again, big happy birthday to Arizona. Arizona just celebrated their birthday in a great way. For you to celebrate with the state is to check out this promotion. Arizona Lottery says proceeds from the ticket sales support environmental conservation, among other important initiatives across the state. Visit azadventure.com for more information on how you can take an adventure with the Arizona Lottery and for a chance to win $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prizes. Jesse, that's all we got. Of course, a very busy day out at Salt River Fields, and that
there
was
are
just
so many other things, honestly, that we didn't
I
talk
know.
about because
Ivan
like, we
Melendez
talked with
playing
Torey
third
Lovello.
base.
Yeah, Ivan Melendez was at third base. There were, a lot of things happening on the backfield. Zach Gallen, live BP session today, facing hitters. Torey Lovello talked about, Corbin going out and signing autographs and his character and some stuff about Geraldo Perdomo and his leadership. And there's all sorts of things we could have talked about today. But oh my gosh, there's just so much to get to. So stay with us throughout the week. We've got a lot more to get to. And tomorrow's another big day because we have spring training media day. So we'll have an opportunity to talk with Torey Lovello and Mike Hazen, as well as managers and general managers from really the rest of the entire Cactus League. So I guess are we pushing our show later tomorrow,
because
Derrick?
that
we
meeting
finalize
occurs
that
at 3 p.m. tomorrow. So I'm guessing we'll probably go around 5 would probably be a safe bet. We'll have you updated in the morning over there because, of course, these times with these managers change all the time. So we want to make sure we have a chance to talk to everybody out there. But we will bring you updates from that media availability, as well as any other updates from Salt River Fields in the morning. In the meantime, you can keep it locked to both of us on Twitter. I'm at cap_Kman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks. But of course, all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for stopping by. We were sorry we had to talk about bad news on such a positive, happy day, but things are still good.
It's not really like it's not, I don't know if I would characterize it as bad news. Like everything is probably fine, but there were some things that were said that we were surprised by. I didn't expect to hear Ken Kendrick even as much as hint at the possibility of moving out of the state somewhere else in Maricopa County. Sure. I didn't expect to ever hear anything about the Diamondbacks moving out of the state again. And we heard some things about that today. Does it mean it's going to happen? No, I very strongly believe that it will not happen. But, for the Diamondbacks, they've got some leverage, and it appears that they are using it, and they're in, a critical point in these negotiations where they really want to push something across the finish line. And we'll see if it happens sometime soon.
Well, we will be back with updates on that and so much more. So make sure to join us tomorrow. In the meantime, you guys have a wonderful afternoon. We appreciate you stopping by. We thank you for your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you don't make vague threats about moving our baseball team.
We all silly like the mayor.
Yay. Yeah, we're still live.